about halfway between Waco and Dallas, Texas, in a town called Milford, a 10-inch segment of a Chevron natural gas pipeline exploded near a drilling rig. This caused the necessity to evacuate the entire town. Granted, it was a small rural town. It was only 800 people. But the entire area needed to be evacuated, and fire was expected to rage for at least a day. And the explosion started at 9:30 in the morning yesterday morning, when flames shot up into the air and black smoke became visible for approximately 20 miles. Cars at the worksite were seriously damaged, but no injuries or deaths have been reported at this time. Ellis County officials, however, have asked people from Milford back as far as Italy and Maypearl to evacuate as well, because a second pipeline is reportedly in danger of an explosion at any point as well. And Chevron is letting the highly pressurized gas just leak out through the inferno until there's no more gas left in that segment of the pipeline. So they're just letting it stream out freely into the atmosphere. Texas currently has the most natural gas pipelines of any other state in the country, currently numbering over 43,000 different gas pipelines. When asked about When asked about his responsibility in curbing carbon emissions, the CEO of Chevron, John Watson, said, quote, "Our leaders have a decision. Do they want to continue, or do they have a better solution for us? So it's not my call. So in other words, it's not my problem."
It's a good thing Texas didn't secede from the Union like all their residents wanted to, because they're going to need the EPA pretty soon to come in and all that federal money to help clean up that mess.
Right, and I'm sure that they won't refuse it.
Right.
Oh, for sure. Like every time something like this happens, that's the first place they go. Federal government, help. We need you. Please,
and
please
then
come.
they complain. Then they complain when it's insufficient or it doesn't come quickly enough.
Right. And look, this just really shows how many problems we have with all the miles and miles of pipeline that we have, and just the whole fracking boom as well, because like I said, this is a natural gas pipeline.
Mm-hmm.
And we've had so many different problems with the natural gas pipelines blowing up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not even to cover all the different other horrible things that are going on with fracking.
Right, but supposedly natural gas is better for the environment, Jeff. It's good for us. It's not dangerous.
No, not dangerous at all. You're right, absolutely. Just give me your check, Chevron. I'm ready. But look, now get this. Okay, so like I said, there's numerous problems with natural gas, and there's numerous problems with, of course, these natural gas companies like Chevron actually being able to pollute in places like Texas because they have used their money to buy the government. Now, Texas is notorious for not having any sort of regulation on this stuff.
Right.
And the pipelines themselves, I mean, they're probably shoddy construction from these different pipeline companies that have so much money but do not care about safety because they don't have any regulation down in Texas.
Right.
And there's a lot of places where they don't have it.
Mm-hmm. And there are so many of them, and they're built so quickly that, it's inevitable that there are going to be issues and problems and explosions in populated areas. How long until someone is injured, seriously injured or killed? This is the second story I've done about a massive explosion in Texas.
I don't understand this demagoguery of business. Like, business is so great compared to government. They would never do anything immoral. That's completely false. A business's job, its only imperative is to make a profit. So they're going to make these pipelines in the cheapest way possible to get the largest profit possible. So it's like Jeff said, it all boils back down to money,
right,
and money and politics, and these. I mean, if you live in the farmland, you're pretty much fucked. Between the fracking and the pipelines, I mean, they don't care about you. They're trying to make money, and that's it.
It gets me. I think it's a very naive mindset to think that if given no regulation whatsoever to try to live up to, that corporations just on their own would would have incentive to be more moral than they are now. Given government regulations, why would they take it upon themselves? Why is that the libertarian and even the Republican stance so much of the time, that corporations, if they didn't have regulations, they would just decide to do the right thing, because that's what the public would want, and that's what the public would cry out for, and so that's what but that's not happening now. There's nothing keeping them from doing that now.
The free market will decide. Well, there's enough people getting killed and blown up, then the people are going to be mad, and the corporation. No, seriously, you're right. Load of shit.
Morality has
nothing
to do with
that whole view of the free market.
Morality has nothing to do with a business decision. No matter what the business does, morals have nothing to do with it. They have one imperative, and that is to make a profit for their shareholders. That's their only imperative. So. Mm-hmm. Morals have nothing to do with it.
And they'll do it any way they can. And they'll do it any way they can. I've got a good example of that. Now, under some of these laws that they have, there's something called the Natural Gas Act, right? And under this Natural Gas Act, a gas company can get something called a certification of public convenience and necessity. Now, do you know what that means that they can do once they get this permit? They can use eminent domain to take your land to build a pipeline under it. So if you're a farmer out there and you've got some land that they want to build a pipeline under, they can use eminent domain, take your land, build a pipeline, and if it blows up, well, that's on you. That's not our fault.
Yes, so it's happening. I mean, it's happening all over the country, and it's happening where I live. If you're living in a poor or rural area, you have no power and you have no control to stop it, and it happens without your notification. There's one less than 2-3 miles from where I live right now, and I saw them dig everything up, and it was on private land, so you know that they had to, either compensate or instill eminent domain upon these people to force them to allow them to dig up their earth and put down this long pipeline under the ground.
That has a good chance of exploding.
Right. And they're taking advantage of these people because they're vulnerable and they can't do anything to fight back. I mean, it's the same old song, but, we still have to report it.
Right. And part of it, of course, is they're buying the politicians to make laws like the Natural Gas Act. And another thing, too, that they love to do down there, in especially in Texas, but a lot of these pipeline companies, well, they'll apply for something called a Master Limited Partnership. And you know what that allows them to do? It allows them to skirt paying corporate tax. So
right.
They get one of these. They make this Master Limited Partnership, and they don't have to pay any corporate tax for all the pipeline that they sell and lay down and stuff. So I mean, it's just another good example of oil and gas companies buying the government and using it against the people.
As well as using the government, as well as using the senators and congressmen they have in their pockets to deregulate the EPA, so that what regulations are in place, cannot possibly be enforced because the EPA is so underfunded and understaffed.
Absolutely, we did the other thing on the West Texas explosion, where, like we had said, it was something 138 years between times where they could be inspected because the EPA is so understaffed. They can basically throughout the entire nation, it would take 138 years to inspect every place.
Yes.
Every workplace. So I mean, that just shows how massively underfunded and how horrible our system is at this point, and how much conservatives have hobbled the government. And then they can later come back, and they have came back and said, look, government doesn't work.
Right.
That's because you broke it.
Of course. Right. Yeah, they break it, and then they complain about how it's broken, so we should just get rid of it completely. Of course. It's not subconscious. It is perfect. They know what they're doing.
I mean, the last thing that I wanted to add to this is, I wonder if they're going to be completely transparent in what chemicals are in that smoke that was visible from 5 miles, no, 20 miles away. And imagine, I remember that scene from Gasland where he's discussing the fumes that are coming off those tanks and how dangerous they are to breathe those fumes. So I can only imagine what kind of chemicals and fumes are going up into the Texas environment right now, and how that's going to have long-term effects on that city and that surrounding area. And these companies are never transparent with this stuff. In fact, here in Pennsylvania, there was laws for a while, I'm not sure if they're still enacted, where it was illegal for the doctors to tell you if you were sick because of the fracking water.
Right.
Disaster.
Right, and it's going to be disaster for the poor, and they're going to end up being they're the ones that are going to end up suffering and getting sick and dying because of the actions of a major corporation that they have no control over. And again, it goes back to having money in politics, because if being a congressman, if being part of our government was actually considered a public service and not a way to get rich by getting corporate money in your pocket, then we wouldn't have these issues. If corporations didn't own the people that run this country, we wouldn't be having these issues.
Wolf-pack.com.
Boom.
Indeed.
There you go. Go there. Help solve the problem.
That's right.
I just wanted to throw in one more thing for people that are like, oh, that's just Texas. Texas is going to do what Texas is going to do. We shouldn't have the federal government policing Texas. But you do realize that when stuff gets up into the atmosphere, it doesn't just stay over Texas. And,
of course.
And I don't think people realize that, because it gets blown all over the place. You pollute in Texas, and it ends up probably in your state.
Or it all eventually somewhere. Ends up,
yeah, or in the water somewhere, because, like I said, water and air do not know state boundary lines. And so, the state next door, that's also going to be polluted from this.
The earth is not compartmentalized, especially you can think of the water as like the veins of the earth. If you pour something in one area, it's going to spread to all other areas.
Hey, thanks for watching this video. Please leave a comment below. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button and share with your friends. If you want to see more, go to our channel at youtube.com/TYTNation. And if you really want to support the show, support this channel, go to our fundraising campaign at www.patreon.com/TYTNation. The website is in the description below. Thank you guys, and keep watching.